this week. Neil Atkinson is on a train to London. So you've got me. But to make up for that, you've got Kieran Molyneux, you've got Adam Melia, and you've got Steve Evo, and we're going to talk to you guys. First of all, in part one about the week there was, been a few news stories coming out of Liverpool, so we're going to have a little bit of a chat about those. And then in part four, we're obviously going to look ahead to Liverpool's game against Bournemouth, which is at 12:30 tomorrow. We've got a couple of inserts for you, those of you who listen as a podcast as well. First of all, I spoke to John Aldridge and Matt Parrish about the LFC Legends game, which is in a couple of weeks' time. Also, in part three, I spoke to the guys from Paul's Place and Beacon Counselling Trust about all the work that they do, and in particular around gambling. But unfortunately, we won't be at the Legends game because we're going over to North America and we're doing 6 shows in 6 nights, and we absolutely can't wait. All the details available on our social media. We are hitting lots of cities. I won't name them because I'll forget one and they'll get annoyed. But we're starting in Toronto. We're finishing off in Washington, D.C., and we're hitting lots and lots of places in between. So if you fancy it, theanfieldwrap.com/TAW live. I'll just get told where to go, to be honest with you. Is it like that for you, Keo? Do you just get on a plane and see where you end up nowadays?
Yeah.
Yeah, just arrive. Then someone picks you up. Next thing you know, you're on stage. You're singing. I'm dancing. Whatever it is, the high life. But anyway, if you want to come to our live show, theanfieldwrap.com/TAW live. I probably could do it, to be honest with you, but I'm bottling it. But anyway, we're going to do a little bit of the week that was, and we'll start with an exclusive earlier in the week by our friend of the show, Dave Powell, who spoke to John Henry. I'm not quite sure how he spoke to John, whether it was email, text, Snapchat, but he got him. John had the elusive John Henry, and he had a little chat. I'll start with you, Adam. I don't know what you got from it. It looks, the full sale is looking less and less likely, but that maybe that was always the case. There was a line in there about a formalised process that has identified potential investors for the club. It seems to me that they're reasonably close to maybe getting some sort of investment, but it's still a little bit tricky to understand what that completely means for us as ordinary fans.
Yeah, it's true. I think things seem to be sorting themselves out, which I think is the main positive. In terms of the words and the noise around it, it's really hard to guess. One of the things I thought when I saw Dave Powell had managed to interview John Henry was maybe he's just thought to ask and no one else did. John was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do a little interview. And I can't help thinking that the bit where they came out and said, no, we never said we were for sale is not quite the full truth. I think they were open to all things to start with, and allowed that to be floated out there to see what had come back. And then when it, whether it was related to the other clubs for sale or whatever, when it became clear that probably wasn't on the cards in terms of buyers meeting their full valuation, that's when they came out and said no. we never said we were for sale. Someone else might have said that, but we never said it. So yeah, I really don't know. And in terms of the finances of football, it's not one of those things that I get massively excited about. To be fair, it's something that I can get annoyed about when it seems like it's blocking transfer windows, it's a convenient excuse and that sort of thing. Because when we do see investment, how much of that lands on the pitch, how much of it is just, we've got a great new sponsorship deal with, such and such the cookie company, and it just means someone else has got a cup final ticket and and I don't get one, all that sort of thing. So yeah, it will be interesting in a sense to see what comes of it. But the main positive is that things do seem to be working themselves round to something that we can actually understand and that can actually be announced. But yeah, I don't know.
More exciting sponsorship news coming up. But before all that, we'll talk a little bit more about the ownership stuff, Keo. And I'm like Adam, it's not something I'm thinking about sort of day to day. When it comes up, and you take an interest. And obviously, when you don't feel like you're spending as much as you can be, then it does. But it was interesting to me just hearing, them talking about the commitment to the club remains as strong as ever and things like that, and how they're looking to still invest, but they keep using things like invest wisely and in a responsible manner. And although that's, I'm sure the complete correct way to run a business, there's part of me that would like us to invest unwisely and irresponsibly this summer.
Yeah, I'm game for going gung-ho and just spending all kinds of money on all the best players in the world. But I similar to Adam, I don't really know how it works, and I don't think I'm going to know anytime soon how you sell a football club and the conversations that are involved and all that sort of stuff that goes with it. So, but it did seem weird that there was a big sort of press release and it seemed coordinated because it followed a week later. There was another statement and then and it seemed to be like something was happening. And we all assumed, and the media assumed, it was a full sale, but the comments now are leading towards it not being. And to be honest, I don't actually know whether that's a bad thing. I actually was talking recently about this, and if the way what FSG have done in the time that they've been here is in terms of commercialisation and growing the club into one of the biggest in the world, they've been sound. What we actually missing is just a big load of dough to go and spend on boss players. So, but again, now you sell that to somebody, you're going to come in here and spend loads of money, but you're not going to own it. I don't know. I just don't know how it works. But I think we are moving closer towards something, but it's looking like it's going to be more of an investment than a sale.
Yeah, look at that way, Steve. I think for fans, you just like it sort of sooner rather than later. As Keogh says, none of us are involved in deals of this level, but so I'm sure sort of things take the time. But if they have, used this process to identify the fact that the investors are out there and potential ones that you hope, before the summer it can be solved, and then you hope that it does lead to us being, aggressive in the transfer market this summer and doing what we all know we need to do.
Yeah, I think so. It's the fact that John Henry's come out and given an interview, which is very rare anyway, because you never really hear him give any public interviews. Kind of indicates to me that something is pretty close or something is in the pipeline that could get agreed pretty soon. Mike Gordon come back could indicate something similar as well. So I think. Looking at some of the stuff that people have been linked with investment as well, like some of the media companies, we're going to come on to, I'm sure it's that would make a lot of sense, because I think the revenues and stuff that the club are currently bringing in, I can't see how that can get much bigger really. But then the media side of things, with obviously the TV deals, what they expect further down the line, to have media companies involved in that would make loads of sense really for me. So, as I said, as other lads have said, I think they've dipped their toe in the water to see what was out there. And come up with a kind of middle of the road solution really, whether they come out and they sell 25-30% to an investor, and then they use some of that money to invest in the summer, then that's fine by me, as long as the team isn't suffering and it gets the much needed cash it wants to bring in these midfielders and these other players that we need, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, Steve mentioned Mike Gordon there, and that is one of the interesting things that John Henry sort of casually mentioned about Mike Gordon. And he's someone who, it's been rumoured, was looking to scale back. There was even talk that it was his percentage that was up for sale, Adam, and then suddenly he's back, it seems, and back in the fold. And there's a couple of ways of looking at that, and I've noticed that the internet, as ever, has had a go at both. Maybe the fact that he's not found any investments, and so he's sort of come back to his day job, or they have found something and he's allowed, or the third option, which he just fancied a bit of a break and now he's come back. But either way, I think it sort of has to be seen as good news. I think stability hasn't been easy to find. I nearly said Melwood then. Wow. Wherever, Chapel Street, we'll say. There's been a bit of instability, in terms of, off the pitch for Liverpool. And he is someone who is known to have a good relationship with the manager. And there was the three of them, wasn't there? Edwards, Jurgen Klopp and Mike Gordon. And then suddenly Jurgen got left on his own. And you fancy Jurgen's pleased if it's true that Mike Gordon has come back, and that is a good thing.
100%. I think it's huge, to be fair, and that was the one real negative for me. As I said before, not really understanding the ins and outs, but the one negative was Mike Gordon disappearing in slightly mysterious circumstances. I guess following on the back of Julian Ward and Edwards going as well. So it was at that point, and I remember doing one of these sort of Thursday nightish type shows when the sale was first mooted, and saying the same. Well, they're saying the opposite, saying this is bad, really, because it means Klopp hasn't got a sounding board. He talks so much about how they spoke every day. Plus, does it mean he's doing some of his line manager's work? No one likes doing that, and you don't want your manager to be doing, I don't know what he is, arranging conferences or something, or trying to sell a football club, buying players. You want Jurgen to be fully focused on the things that he is absolutely the world's best at. So we didn't see a replacement. That was what I was saying at the time. Banging the drum of if he's gone, who's replaced them. There was some movements, I think, on the website. Somebody pointed out to me, but it never felt like it never felt like it was sorted satisfactorily to me. And again, sort of the timing wise that landed at the transfer window felt annoying at best. So it's just genuinely really big good news, I think. From what I could say at the time, and nobody can predict the future, and we don't know what's gone on. But I thought it was bad news when it happened, and now I think it's good news. So that's about as black and white as I can be, I suppose.
Yeah, he's not quite Jude Bellingham, Keo, and I don't think you're going to be singing songs about him in the sand anytime soon. But at the same time, he was seen as a big part of the success. Jurgen's link to FSG in Boston, and they were said to have a really good relationship. And also, like Adam says, the talk was, well, Billy Hogan's going to do some of his job, and then you're like, well, who's going to do the bits of Billy Hogan's job that he hasn't got time anymore, or we just flogging this poor man to the ground? And it just seems like a good thing that he is back, and Jurgen's got that link to Boston that I know he really appreciates it.
Yeah, well, all through Klopp's tenure, things have felt pretty stable in that sense, and so you've seen AJ comments on the right hand side there. It felt like everyone was leaving at one point, and it did, and it seemed like it was becoming unstable, and whether the sale was happening or whether it wasn't happening, and then we've got these big people in the club leaving. All of a sudden, it's like, hang on a minute, what's happening? We're supposed to kick on. We're supposed to win the league and win the European Cup, and then start to dominate and bring in the best players and all the things that we want. So it's good news. It is good news, and maybe there's a load of dough coming soon. maybe they said, look, come back, we're going to spend loads of money soon.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is possible. And it was interesting to see in the press conference today, he got asked about John Henry's comments, and he said he agreed with the idea of investing wisely and stuff like that. But he also talked about the fact that they had done that, and he mentioned the forwards and how they'd invested well in, Mane leaving, but Gakpo coming in and Nunes and Diaz and stuff like that. And then there was one interesting quote at the end where he was talking about the forwards and how they'd rejuvenated it. And it says this has to be now in a similar manner. We have to do that in other parts of the team, and that will be possible. And the fact that he finishes with "and that will be possible" suggests to me that he has been given reassurance. And the other parts of the team. The big one is obviously the midfield. That's the one a lot of us have been talking about all season. But, maybe a new defender as well. The fact that he's talking about other parts is a plural. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. But it does feel like to me like he's been told that there will be money and they will be able to focus, on the other aspects of the team that do need a bit of TLC.
Yeah, I think he's alluded to that a couple of times in press conferences this season. He said that, we know we're going to be busy in the transfer market. I mean, if you listen to Twitter this week, I think half the team are leaving in the summer. So we're going to have to be very fucking busy, I think. So, we know where we're weak. We know where we need improvements. We know where to bring reinforcements in. The manager's not soft. He'll know that as well. So I do expect to see quite a lot of change in the summer. We know there's lads going to be leaving out the contract. Bobby Firmino is now confirmed he's going. The likes of Kelleher maybe on the move, looking for a move. I've seen Tsimikas maybe wants to go. So it's going to be a bit of a wild summer, I think, for ins and outs. And as well as looking to bring people in, spending money on really good, top class, world class players like the ones we've been linked with. I also think they'll have a good eye on the market for some of the players who are coming to the end of the contracts, because looking around Europe, there's loads now who are coming to the end of the deals and are going to be available on a free transfer. So I think that they'll be keen to bring some in that way as well. But I expect a very, very busy summer, yeah.
And let's all hope so. In other news, other things that help with busy summers, Adam. Expedia, your friends and mine. The number one travel company, in my humble opinion, have signed up for another 4 years. And he's gone upside down. He's not excited. Look at that.
He's in Australia.
he's head over heels with this news. They've given us. It's gone up. It's what they were giving us £10 million a year, which isn't bad to be on the sleeve. But it apparently got up. Sources suggest around sort of 15 million a year for the next 4 years. And I don't know, Adam, just crack on. It all helps. I can't hear you now either. That's bad. Keo, Expedia giving us more money, and that's nice.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I was saying before, similar points. Since FSG have been in here, they have grown us commercially in that sense. And, you know, when I first started supporting Liverpool, I used to get told all the time, you know, Man United capitalised on it in the 90s when the Sky came in and the Premier League started, and Liverpool just didn't really kick on commercially in the 80s and stuff like that. And it's a massive part of football, more so now than it probably was then. And the gap's getting bigger. And although we're in a battle for fourth this season, we see ourselves challenging for titles every year. If you want to do that, you need the resources to do it. And whether it's 15 million quid extra off Expedia, or it's the biggest kit deal we've ever had, or all these things that have happened over it's a cream partner, Nivea, and Jack Wolfskin do his coats, and we've got a denim partner. It all helps, doesn't it? It all throws money in the pot that we don't spend on players.
Well, hopefully they will. But, you know, you mentioned before, Steve, about these potential investors, and it links to what Keo's saying there about growing. And when Dave Powell, who has got the John Henry interview, has spoke to us in the past, you know, he comes into the Anfield Wrap and has chats with us, and when he's done stuff on, you know, for the Echo, he's always talked about this investor being someone who could sort of kick us forward, and apparently looking at media partners, and it's interesting. You know, I mean, Neil's quite big on this here at the Anfield Wrap, and he talks about the next big thing for clubs being able to sell their own TV revenue and stuff like that, and you know, the 3 p.m. blackout being lifted potentially, and it's interesting, isn't it, that they are looking towards it, the idea of a partner, not just for investment, but also someone who works in the media who's able to really maximise this leverage, because it's going to be unknown territory, you know, for a lot of clubs, you know, selling their own individual rights and what is it worth. And, you know, one company's being touted is Liberty Media, who work in F1 and with the Boston Celtics and stuff like that. And you can see how that would appeal to FSG, because it's not just a big chunk of money, but also, you know, a strategic partner who are able to maybe push us in ways that we didn't expect and grow it even more.
Yeah, it seems like a real shrewd bit of business. Getting someone like that involved now, I think going back to one of your questions before about obviously FSG looking to maybe a full sale. Maybe if someone like Limitless Media came along and said, listen, we want to maybe form a bit of a consortium and we can get on board with you for when this kind of deal happens, then FSG might say, well, that's somewhere we can grow the club exponentially. If we're selling our own rights to football, you know, we're one of the biggest football clubs in the world, then it's going to be worth absolutely fortunes for us. So having someone with the expertise and knowledge on board, such as someone like that who own F1 and they've got, you know, a massive sports portfolio. I've just done a little digging today, being professional that I am. So getting someone, they will be huge. Getting someone like that on board, because they've got the knowledge and the know-how to really drive that forward if that time comes to start selling their own rights for the TV deals, because, you know, the sky's the limit if that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, someone will find something wrong with them.
Course,
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure, but that is the case. Adam, you're back. You.
Hopefully, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you want the final word on all this finance stuff?
Yeah. I know I was sort of moaning before that some of these partners just feel like they just come and take a cup final ticket, but I think we generally can't be like we can't be Luddites about it. And I found the as Steve was just saying, the potential links to new media companies exciting, to be honest. You know, I like the idea of the league or certainly the club sort of packaging itself up in new ways, and you can sort of I think you can already sort of see that happening. So yeah, it's in terms of it being a world that I'm not massively expert in, it's something that makes sense to me as the layperson. So I'm all right with them. As you said, the Expedia lads, which I thought was Wikipedia when you first said it. Imagine partnering with them.
They'll be asking us for money. That's no good. I like the video they did, the Istanbul one. That was cool. Fair play. More to them. More to them if you want to do that. In other big finance news, and it did make the national press, so it counts as being in here. Stievo's sister winning big on the Man United game. I knew one of the family was a football expert, Steve. Not your dad, and certainly not you, but Stacey. When everyone was saying Man United this, Man United that, she not only bet on 6-0, but had the mindset to cash out and win big.
I know. She's. I think she channeled in the past the Mystic Meg this week. I think she channeled her pal as well. And she got the thing. It was unbelievable. I was in the ground, obviously watching the game, and she texted me saying, "I've cashed out before 4-0 bet, but I've also got 5-0 and 6-0." I was like, What kind of person actually picked that? But yeah, fair play. Just she cast them all out for about 1,700 quid and give me a little drop fee as well. So fair play, Stace. Beers on me, the beers on her this weekend, which is always a winner.
I'll tell you what, absolutely no chance my sister to do that. So fair play. What a girl. What a girl.
Yeah, fair play. She had a few good bets up to her. She's not bad. She picks them well.
I mean, she sounds like she needs to get an Instagram going or something for it. That's the big thing, though.
She also had the bet on 5-0 when Liverpool beat United 5-0 at United.
I'll tell you what, honestly.
Mystic Meg, I'm telling you.
Stacey's betting tips coming to a Twitter account soon. It's all Telegram now. You can make money off it and all sorts. It's big business. There we are. No, fair play to it. Just to sort of round this up then, Dave Powell mentioned a couple of times it is coming in to see us next week. So he normally pops in once a month when he has the last couple of months to have a bit of a chat. So that will be on Thursday. I think it is the next time he's in Liverpool. He's coming in to see us. So make sure you're subscribing to the Anfield Wrap for that chat. He'll be telling us how we got John Henry and a little bit more about it. And also going through the club financials, which came out a couple of weeks ago. It's all quite dry, isn't it? But it's all very interesting at all points as well into what we potentially might be able to spend in the summer. We're going to have a little bit of a break now before we come back to talk about Bournemouth. But if you're listening as a podcast, as I say, you're going to get lots of me now, lots more of me. I do apologise for that. Me speaking to John Aldridge and Matt Parrish about the LFC Legends game, and also me speaking to Danica and Ian from Paul's Place at Beacon Council and Trust about all the work that they're doing there. So a couple of inserts for you now. We'll be back talking about Bournemouth. Good. I think we're good to go. You're a bit crackly, Adam, but you seem to sort it, so that's good.
It went absolutely insane. My end. It was like I don't know. Everyone was on helium. It was like the chipmunks. Insane. Couldn't even hear you. Yeah.
Interesting. There we are. But we're all happy now. Okay, I'll just see if there's anything. Good to go. Great. Okay. And we are back. And we are back with Kieran Molyneux, with Adam Melia, and with Stievo to talk about Bournemouth. It is Bournemouth coming up. Just before we do, thanks a lot to John, particularly Aldo and Matt Parrish, for coming in and talking about the LFC Legends game. Tickets are still available, so if you want to get down to that, do hurry along and get them. Hopefully we can get that sold out because all the money goes to fantastic causes. There is one or two more players who will be announced between now and then. They're just finalising it all, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, but a couple of really big names who I think are going to be playing in that game against Celtic. And in completely unrelated news, the Stevie and Salah thing was very good, wasn't it? If everyone enjoyed that, I thought that was fantastic on LFC TV. So congratulations to them for pulling together. If you haven't seen that, I would strongly recommend it. Just a couple of Liverpool legends having a chat about boss goals they've scored. But 3 more Liverpool legends here to talk about the game against Bournemouth. And Steve, you just want to see them follow it up with a win. It's a 7-0 against United. It's brilliant, but all the cliches about it matters nothing if you don't go and follow that up. Are true, really. You know, I'm going to come on to our rivals for the top 4, but the rest of them have got winnable games. Someone's going to slip up, and we need to make sure it's not us.
Yeah, I think it would have been businesses. Well, obviously Sunday was a massive game, but he wouldn't have been dwelling on that for too long this week in training. It would have been down to business and making sure everyone's focused and not getting too carried away. So, Sunday means nothing at all if we go and get beat or drop points at Bournemouth. Now we've got the bit between our teeth and can smell blood in the water for that top four. So it's important that we go there, not be complacent, and really put the hammer down now towards the end of the season. It's one of the one times that I think the 12:30 kickoff might work in our favour, because I'm not usually a massive fan, to be honest with you, but with there being no midweek game, it gives you a chance to really put some pressure on the teams above us. We can go into the top four, obviously, for a short time if we do win. So, I'm expecting us to go there with our tails up and really full of confidence, and hopefully go there, put on a show, a couple of early goals to settle the nerves, and we can crack on from there.
The idea of putting the hammer down, Adam, is I like and is correct, and the reason I like it is because I know that we're good at it. There's been good, bad, and indifferent seasons under Jurgen Klopp, more good than bad, thankfully. But even in the ones where we have looked a bit ropey when they've gone to put the hammer down, that they have, when they needed to get over to the line, even last season when they don't quite get the league, it's not for one to try. And in terms of the last few months, the results are sensational. A couple of years ago, getting that top four place, even that his first full season where we need to, pull the stops out by the end and win on the last day to get top four, and we get that journey to Kiev, they do it. And so there's no guarantees, but you're looking around and looking at the other teams in terms of best experience of putting that hammer down, to use that again. You back us.
I really do. I mean, there's so many reasons to be positive. I think if you're Bournemouth players, you remember them. You remember being beat 9-0 at Anfield, and then you see us winning 7-0. There's no way that then not watching that thinking, here we go again, sort of things. The only note of caution I'd sound, because I completely agree, and that's all the things I was going to say, to be honest, John. So I'll take the opposite road and say I've been on these shows before previewing away matches after we've won at home recently, and said everything seems to be fine now, we'll probably win, and then we don't. So I think that our away form is still the thing that we haven't nailed, and I would love to see us just rolling straight in to this game, playing the same the same sort of way, with a few changes, but basically striding straight into it and picking up where we left off. But we kind of haven't seen that consistency once it's come to the away game, no matter who it's been, really. Hasn't been there. I think Neil said on his email today, out of the bottom 13 teams or the bottom 9 teams, we've sort of only beat we've managed to not beat 4 of them out of the 9 we've played.
Yeah.
It's absolutely shocking compared to where we've been. So I think that's something which, despite the kind of buoyancy, we have to be really serious about this one. We've got a massive game coming up on Wednesday, but this one's, I don't know which one you'd kind of say is bigger. I don't really want to rest players for either, really, because it's such a big thing that we're coming into. And I think in terms of what I'm talking about, the away form, it's so important that we win this one, and everything will be as rosy as it kind of feels. We really do need to we need to put that hammer down to show that it's not just we're not just a home sort of form team, which it's felt like that at times. We've been good at home for ages now, but yeah, the away hasn't quite backed it up.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Keil, from Adam. I remember the Palace game. I mean, albeit that's on the back of the Real Madrid one, which was a bit of a humbling, but it was also on the back of the league of two wins, and you feel like, oh, here we go, we're going to continue it. And then you get a bit of a sort of so-so performance. Really, the away form hasn't been good enough this season, and you'd love them to attest that, because we feel like we're back a little bit, don't we? But a big away win would really cement that.
Definitely a bit of a distance from where we were mentally as fans and what the team looked like a few weeks back. Things seem to be feeling a little bit better, but you're right. I've been waiting for the 2, 3, 4 game on the run, and it hasn't come. It hasn't been there this season at all, so it's massive. And we should win tomorrow. We're coming on the back of a massive result. Bournemouth, they're down the bottom, but they were unlucky against Arsenal. They conceded the last minute. I think they had the draw at Newcastle recently as well. I mean, they got slapped by City, but it's a banana skin if for the Liverpool team of a few weeks back. But the Liverpool team that we've seen on Sunday, we roll in there and with our chest puffed out, feeling confident that we've just slapped Man United 7-0 and enjoy ourselves like we did the other day. We should slap them as well.
Yeah, I watched their press conference, Steve, just sort of out of interest, really, to see how they were feeling about it. And it's Gary O'Neill, who's one of our old boys, one of our coaches, and he was talking about how many injuries they've got at the moment, and he might have one or two back, but he's basically said we've got this game and another one to get through, and then the international break, and then hopefully get a few more back, and we can go. And that idea of this being a game that they want to get through was quite telling for me, really. Like, I mean, listen, you never know, and I'm sure he'll set them up to try his best to get something out of it. But it felt to me that, at the moment, Liverpool, with what happened last weekend, I don't think he was putting too much on it in terms of, we need to get to 40 points, and there's some of them.
Yeah, I mean, they're down there fighting for their lives, aren't they? So every point is vital for them. I'm not too sure of the other game is before the international break, but maybe.
I think it was Villa, he said, yeah.
It was, yeah. So maybe they're looking at that one as a bit more of a chance to get some points. But we've got a good record down there, barring one or maybe two slip-ups, I think, over the past few years. So every time we played them, so I'm always quite confident going down there. I'm sure he'll look at the history of our results there and maybe fear the worst, but we can't go into this game with any other mindset other than it's going to be difficult, and we need to be at our very best. Otherwise, we'll get turned over or drop points. And if we go there with anything different, there'll be a lot of pissed off fans, obviously, but I'm sure the manager will be as well. But regardless of what he says or what anyone else says, it's a tough game, and always is down there. You need to go there and beat your best.
Was it Karius or Melia who had a mad one down there?
I think it was Karius,
Was it?
I think it was Karius. Or maybe, I don't know. Okay, yeah, but do you remember getting
Andy's saying Karius. Andy's straight to Andy's got his Karius, They got a WhatsApp group, the goalies. I don't know, it could have been either of them. It could have been absolutely.
I'd have remembered if it was Melia, John.
Well, that's why I asked. I thought anyone know this. He's got them all. He's got them all sort of written down. Any 12:30 jitters? Adam, it's not a nice kickoff. Klopp doesn't really like it. I mean, I'm sure they'll stay over the night before. And maybe not approach it like me and you would, staying in Bournemouth on a Friday night.
Bournemouth better than Ibiza. Nice. Not really. I think away at Bournemouth on a Saturday. I think as Steve said, it's good in some cases to put the pressure on the others if you can jump up into the top spot or the top four. And sometimes if you put yourself in Bournemouth fans' shoes, they're not going to be massively up for it. I always think they'd rather be sailing or whatever it is that they prefer doing down there anyway. So I think there's a chance as the away team to be in front and shock them and all of a sudden the sort of the game's gone before you've even got out of bed seemingly. And so I not really. I think I hate the ones after the international break. When we were going for the league, it always seemed like there was an international break and we'd be away at Spurs or something at 12:30. So them ones I don't like at all. So this one I'm not feeling too jittery about it in terms of when it's timed.
Yeah, Youssef, the comments quite rightly points out, last time we played a 12:30 kickoff at Bournemouth was 2019 when we beat them 4-0. So there you go. It can't be over. Yeah. Would you be looking to go same again with the team, Keogh? They've had a bit of a break. It's 6 days, so they all should be fresh. And obviously they'll be confident. Would you be looking to go the same again?
Yeah, based on the fact that we looked absolutely awesome against Man United in that second half, and it looked like we said recently if Liverpool are going to win games, we'll win them ugly. Remember we said that when we went down to Brighton, and we win tomorrow, it'll have to be a little bit ugly. We're not going to be the Liverpool, of a couple of years ago. For that 45 minutes on Sunday, we looked like Liverpool was probably one of the best halves I've seen of the Liverpool team. So yeah, same again, and try and blow them off the park. get players off the pitch ready for the next game.
Similar for you, Steve?
I don't know. I know Jürgen will have one eye on Wednesday, the Wednesday after. He spoke very highly of the fact that he got rests into the likes of Robertson and stuff like that after Man United. Would he fancy throwing Tsimikas in again, or would he fancy? Would he rest one of Jordan or one of Fabinho ahead of that game? I'm not 100% sure he goes the same again. I certainly think you'll see Bajcetic come in, or who fall. I think he might rest Fabinho for Wednesday. You might see a couple of changes, but not wholesale.
What do you think, Adam?
Similar to Steve, I was actually thinking about Tsimikas, and I don't know really. It's funny because he's, Robertson isn't really necessarily the one that needs the rest out of the two of the fullbacks. It's just that Tsimikas is there. I think he probably does go the same back four. I think Henderson's the one who drops out. He's the one who Fabinho, I think, has just been a steady improvement from the place where I was absolutely selling him in December to where he's looking like he's back to some really, really good form. And I'm not sure he's the one whose minutes you have to manage in the same way, where I think Henderson is that now. I'm saying Henderson looks really at the top of his powers as long as he's not doing the 2-3 games a week. So I think Jordan's the one to come out, and Bajcetic, who's really unlucky to miss out against Man United. I think everybody's picking him for that team. I know I was. I'm not sure really what the who the third midfielder is. It could be a Milner. It could be a Milner, Fabinho, Bajcetic or something like that. I wouldn't be massively surprised at seeing that as a starting midfield. Could be Naby. I think he likes Naby at Bournemouth. I mean, he doesn't like Naby generally, but I seem to remember Naby's had a few good games there, so I wouldn't be hugely surprised with something like that. And I'm expecting the same front three. I think.
I think it depends to me what is Elliott in Madrid movers.
Yeah.
Whether he's sort of, likely to start him there and really go for it, and in which case does he start him here and then sort of, you end up sort of making the decisions around that. But I don't know. I think it's a difficult one to predict really. But it's good to see Elliott back playing well, Keogh, and in the team and even in discussions to start, in Madrid, because that wasn't the case a few weeks ago.
No, he has. He's looked great the past few games. He was brilliant against Man United. I've always known he's a top quality player. I mean, I've never been in the camp of I don't think Elliott's going to be good enough. I've always known he's got something special. It's just about where he plays. For me, to be honest, you don't think he's fast enough to be out wide all the time. And when he went into centre midfield, he looked a little bit like, but he seems to be, maturing and putting in performances. And I'm not surprised, because I did think he'd always sort it out. I think he's a quality player.
Yeah. Okay. Looking on to the other games then, in terms of likely top four rivals, they've all got nice home games, actually. Spurs are at home to Forest. Man United are home to Southampton. Newcastle are home to Wolves. And Brighton, who are the one you need to watch, so they've got 2 games at hand on us, are home to Palace. So anyone fancy anyone to drop points out of those 4?
Don't think so, not for me. Certainly not Spurs. I think Nottingham Forest away form's just as bad as it gets out there this season, I think so. I fancy them to win comfortably against them. Brighton maybe a trickiest game against Wolves. Wolves aren't easy to play against, but the rest should win easily, I think.
What do you think, boys?
I agree. I don't think so. But as long as we win our game and if Everton drops some more points this weekend, it'll be a lot.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. As someone who's been supporting all of those teams towards the bottom end that you just mentioned, John, all season, I'm not sure how well any of them are going to do. But it's a real win-win for the top 4 and the bottom 3 battles, if any of them do manage to get any results in any of them games.
There we are. It's been an interesting one. So very much supporting Liverpool and Brentford, this sort of weekend, but we shall see. News in from Andy Heaton, by the way. Barcelona have been charged with corruption. They paid $7.5 million to a company owned by the former head of referees over the space of 17 years. So there we are. Barcelona, but Madrid are laughing their heads off at that. And the story was in the press a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it. Adam, it really made me laugh that they were like, "Oh no, it was just a coincidence," and also, as soon as the fella stopped being a referee, they had a cost-cutting exercise and decided to stop paying this business, and it was just like, "Come on, lads."
I didn't see it. It's mad. I always think it always seems to be Barcelona that get caught with these things. I assume it's because Real just own everything, and Barcelona really try hard to try and cheat.
Well, we shall see. We'll see how that goes. Barcelona laugh a minute at the moment. Okay, enjoy your football tomorrow. As I said, loads of great stuff on the Anfield Wrap this week and next week. Really looking forward to having Dave Powell to talk a little bit more about his interview with John Henry next week. Loads of great stuff coming. Building up to Real Madrid game, of course, on Wednesday, where the few of the lads are going over. We'll have some great content from there. But we won't get ahead of ourselves. 3 points against Bournemouth at the weekend. Do try and come and see us if you can over in America or on those 6 nights at theanfieldwrap.com/live if you want to get involved in those. But in the meantime, thanks a lot to Keo, thanks to Adam, thanks to Steve, Andy for producing Up the Reds.